Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to the Blue Box tonight. My name is Brandon Carlson, a.k.a. The Big Fat Geek. I am the owner and editor of WeKnowGames.com.
And I am Michael Lewis. I am the Groggy Gamer. I is sometimes co-host, and sometimes I just kind of keep to my basement and don't talk to anybody.
Pick up the mic. I'm going to take it out. Take out the mic.
Hey, I'm Andrew Thornton. I'm an occasional contributor on WeKnowGames.com. So
It's also my cousin.
Yep.
Love you, buddy.
Right back at you.
I like him, at least. Just kinda.
Right back at you.
And I'm Teresa Sammons. Yo. All right. Well, I'll just have to talk loud. And that won't be hard because I am totally caffeinated. I'm Teresa Sammons, and I do a lot of stuff and bounce around here and there and play games. And, yeah, known these guys for a little while, right?
Yeah, we
met you
get
guys about a year
to
ago.
know each other on the
Yeah.
Indie Game podcast.
Yeah.
Indie Game, the podcast.
That
Had
was
to throw back
hysterical.
to that.
And we're going to talk about video games tonight. If you guys like that, that's awesome. If not, well, then please stick around. I don't know.
We'll probably talk about
We'll probably
something
talk about
else.
something
Why
else,
not? That sandwich was delicious.
Yeah, courtesy of the Blue Box Cafe in Elgin, Illinois. Thank you, Chris. So, starting out tonight, I guess, well, we talk about video games occasionally, and we kind of jump around. It's, like I said, been a while since we've done this, so, audio only. Oh, well. We're a podcast, so.
Yeah, today was actually my first time doing any live podcasting. Well, I mean, podcasting in front of people, so this is a new thing for me. And it's not so bad. I feel your looks on me. You know, that's okay though.
Well, we do unfortunately have a very short amount of time here, but so let's jump right into it. One of the things that we always like to do is just really quick go around the table, tell everybody what you've been playing and what you're looking forward to, and then we'll jump right into our big discussion. So, Teresa, let's start with you.
I just started ESO this week, so that's pretty cool. Been playing that, also playing some mobile games. Last time I talked to you, I was still playing Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Yeah, I'm still playing it. Playing Neko Atsumi, which is a Japanese cat collecting game.
Yep.
I know
Freaking
it.
awesome. I've seen that Cream has visited my place, but I haven't snapped her yet. So I'll be getting that hopefully sometime soon. What else am I playing? That's really about it, other than Civilization 5 constantly. So, what about you?
Andy?
I've been playing a lot of Splatoon actually. I'm actually kind of addicted to Splatoon. Anytime I can get 3 minutes for a match, I turn my Wii U on and play. You know, I've barely touched the single player action. And I've heard it's excellent, but
It is.
I really want to get to it. I think I've played 2 levels. It's just the online. And I'm not a big online gamer. You know me. I don't play online that often, but I can't stop. Besides that, I actually just started up Lufia 2: Rise of the Sinistrals for the Super Nintendo this morning. Only played about an hour, but so far really enjoying it. It's kind of got the feel of RPGs that I like. Actually has kind of a similar vibe. It's a little like Dragon Quest, but a little different. Almost has, like, story-wise and character-wise, almost reminds me a little like Suikoden or something, which is one of my favorite games ever. So I'm really enjoying it so far.
Awesome. Michael, how about you?
Well, I actually just got into Ark Survival Evolved, which is a great game. So, honestly, I've just been spending a lot of my time yelling at things that have been dead for billions of years. I, like Teresa, have been playing a lot of mobile games because I'm kind of on the move a lot, so haven't really had a whole lot of time to play at home recently. And when I am home, you know, have the pregnant wife there, so that kind of keeps my gaming to a minimum. I'm really looking
Priorities, man.
Really looking forward to Fallout 4, though, so.
Absolutely.
I personally have been playing a lot of Rocket League, the game that has kind of taken the internet by storm. Lots of Twitch, lots of YouTube stuff. We've been experimenting with doing stuff like that, and I've kind of gotten started on streaming that. That's a lot of fun. I'm learning it. It's just, it's actually getting me into soccer, which is weird because I don't really like soccer, but I love soccer with giant rocket cars that like to fly through the air and exploding balls. It's lots of
How
fun.
could you not like that?
Exactly. That and I've
You
been
only
playing
don't like that if you don't like fun.
right, and we're gamers, so we love fun, right?
Eh.
Exactly.
It's
So,
okay.
I've also been playing a little bit of Splatoon here and there. I've actually been playing Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters because I got it for free on the Club Nintendo. Rest in peace. Yeah, I know, salty.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, it was the last game. It was the last little bit of coins. So I've learned so much. Like, I used to play Kid Icarus all the time as a kid. I didn't know how to get the mallet out. I could never beat like the second level, and I'm already halfway through this game because it's like, well, I guess I better figure out how to do this. So that's it. So for me at least. So
yeah, we didn't have game facts back in the day,
That's
so
true.
we were what, like 12? If we didn't have a friend with Club Nintendo or something like that, Nintendo Power, we had no
Or
way
EGM.
of knowing. Yeah, or
Yeah.
EGM. Oh yeah. Can't forget about them.
I'd usually just phone a friend that had already played the game and just try to get some tips and tricks that way. And I usually got trolled by the one I would call the most. He would come up with something ridiculous. Okay, you got to do this, and he would really mess with my head.
I'm going to let you guys talk about some recent events. I need to step outside for some air really quick. I apologize. So I'll be right back.
Okay, so
Sorry about that.
Well, we could talk about the rumor mill.
okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about the rumor mill. You want to start us off?
Yeah, I was outside earlier today at a kid's birthday party talking about the passing of Iwata with one of my guy friends, and he said that all the lips are starting to come unglued now that Iwata has passed, and rumors are starting to fly about the NX. It's actually apparently in production and will be out in 14 months. So says rumor mill. I can only, let me qualify it with that. And that Zelda will be coming for the NX sometime whenever it's supposed to launch September of next year for the NX. Don't know if Zelda's going to be a launch title or not. Apparently, no Zelda for the Wii U.
That is a big disappointment for me. If you were here earlier, you would have heard me going just about crazy in an argument over which was better, Mario or Zelda, and I can't believe I lost that argument.
Was it cage match?
Yes, it was Geektastic Cage
Nice.
match, and honestly, I think that I basically only lost because of the fact that there was the
More recognition of Mario.
name
maybe.
recognition of
Yeah.
Mario. That's basically it.
Yeah.
But if you have to say which games are better, you cannot deny. Come on. But either way, that is a real big disappointment to hear that it's
Yeah.
not coming to the Wii U. I was really looking forward to it.
Maybe it's going to be a debunked rumor, but
Yeah, for me, I'm not an early adopter anymore. Like I've been, I collect games. I've collected for so many years. I have so many games to play. I feel no need to rush out at launch anymore. So if, I would pick up Zelda for the Wii U when it comes out, probably pretty early because I'm a huge Zelda fan. But if it's pushed to the NX, it could be a couple of years after it comes out before I get to play it. So
Yeah, that's an understandable thing.
Eventually, I'll get it, but it would be very disappointing. And you never know. Maybe they'll pull like they did with Twilight Princess on the Wii, where they still released it on GameCube, even though they brought out a Wii version. That could still happen, but if that would be really disappointing to me as well.
that's a good point. I shouldn't be so butthurt about that, but I am. I still haven't played Wind Waker.
What?
I had a
you
kid.
you
I
do
was
have a
busy.
Wii U, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I've got
of course,
quite
everybody
Zelda
has a
backlog.
GameCube or a Wii,
Yeah.
so you would have been able to have it on that, and
Yeah.
now you could have it on the Wii U.
I know.
What is your excuse, Therese?
I had a kid. That's my excuse.
I'm having a kid. I'm still making time.
Well, mine's 8 now, so I can find a little bit of time to play Zelda. And I really should. I've been wanting to go back. This is a huge undertaking. I have this dream project of starting at the chronological beginning of the whole high
Oh my
rule.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's
And then play through. But
that's a lofty goal because even though Nintendo released a, an official timeline, if you read it, it doesn't really make sense. So
Not at all.
honestly, I'd have to say that you'd have to go with one of the fan theories about
Yeah.
how it actually goes, and that's a lofty goal right there.
There'd be a lot of fudging in in which game comes first and next and whatnot.
Just keep the CDI games out of it,
we
please.
will. Yeah, that's not happening.
Oh, come on. They're I mean, they're so bad that they're good.
No, they're so bad that, they're
bad.
worse.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't know. Some of those cutscenes are hours of fun.
So
Oh my
what's
gosh.
one you said you have a really big backlog, as do I. What's like a project that you would do if you had unlimited time?
That's a good question. I would. RPGs are my passion, but they take, they're also some of the longest games out there. And as you grow up, you have less and less time, which means it's harder and harder to get to RPGs. I mean, I've probably only played through a good 3 or 4 RPGs in the last 4 or 5 years. It's just really hard to do at this point.
I hear you.
I put 50 hours into Xenoblade last year, and as a kid, I would have done that in a month at most. Now it's like it took me 4 months to beat the game, and I felt like I was fighting to play it every time I could. Because I love them, I own tons of them. So if I could do anything, I would go back and try to play through my RPG backlog, especially.
Yeah.
In particular, maybe the Working Designs games. I'm a huge,
Dude, yes.
I have them. I could tell you right now, if you only knew my backlog of just RPGs, I couldn't possibly finish them in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I have so many. I have almost every RPG for the PlayStation 1.
Really? I
Yeah.
ended up selling off some of my JRPGs because I just knew I was never going to get to them.
I have just about every single one for the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
I have probably about 80% of them for the PS2.
Yeah.
I don't think I could actually finish them in my lifetime.
Yeah.
No.
Especially because I really don't see being around another 10 years.
Oh, you will. Don't worry.
I just don't see it.
I reached a point where I had to say to myself, I know I'm never going to get to like the majority of these games, and I had to become okay with that. Like, I not that it's for me. It's about option. It's about when I go to play something, I know I have the option to play what I want to. If I want to play, if I decide I want to play Rhapsody for the PlayStation,
Amazing game.
I haven't gotten to it. I own it, but I haven't played it. But I have the choice to play it tonight if I want to.
Yeah. What if we all lived through the big video game desert that happened? What if there's another one? What if everybody screws everything? It's such a multi-billion-dollar industry. I don't think they could. But what if somebody screws up and we don't have any good video games for 5 years?
That has been a discussion that me and Brandon have had a few times over the past few years, that there's going to be just a drought. We're not going to have anything good for quite a while.
VR. There's our drought.
Well, I can see it happening and working, but actual virtual reality I don't see really coming around for quite a while. But until that time comes, I think that we're going to have a lot of people attempting it and failing it, and I think that's where our drought is going to come. A lot of video game producers are going to try to make things for that, what's it called, the Oculus and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a lot of just shovelware, basically.
Yeah.
We're just going to see a whole lot of, horror games that could have very easily just been a point-and-click game
Games
on your
without
phone.
Substance. Yeah, it'll be a fad for a while.
And that's another discussion that we were having. We were talking about, fads in video games. And that's what we were originally going to talk about tonight. But Brandon just died, so we can still talk about this.
Well, maybe I can cast rays on him in a little bit. Might
That
take
would be
race
nice.
3, though.
I left all my Phoenix down at home, so that's not an option. But yes, we were going to talk about like fads in games, how all of these things are being attempted and not really implemented all that well. And we end up getting a lot of the same things over the years. You know, we see something that's really, really popular for a while, and then it just kind of fizzles out. You know, like way back when, everybody remembers Earthworm Jim.
Yes.
He was supposed to be the big thing. You know, there was going to be a huge amount of games in the series. There was a cartoon. There was talks of them actually continuing that series.
Action figures.
There was action figures.
Geez.
It was a huge thing. And all of a sudden, he's disappeared. He's just gone.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of things that we've had that have happened like that. You can go back, Conquer. You know,
Conquer's
everybody
Bad
was
Fur Day,
thinking
yeah.
Conquer was going to be a big thing.
It was
Rayman.
fun while it lasted.
Rayman was huge there for a minute, and then
Rayman's
offshoot
kind of made
of
a
that.
comeback, though.
He's starting to, but honestly, it's just kind of one of those attempts that I don't know if it's going to stick.
Well, I will say Origins and Legends were incredible platformers. Fantastic reviews. Actually, speaking of mobile games earlier, his mobile games have actually been really successful. Jungle Run, and there's another one. Actually really fun games. I mean, I don't know if he's back, as one of the top mascots in gaming, but he's, back in the spotlight after quite a few years. I mean, from like 2000 to like 2010, from Rayman 2 until Origins, he was there were a couple of games, but he wasn't, in the spotlight at all, really.
Speaking of, mascots in gaming, there's another one that kind of reminds me. Everybody thought that he was going to just dethrone Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario. Crash Bandicoot.
I thought you were going to
was
say Bubsy.
major.
Okay, I will say Crash Bandicoot is getting play in our living room this month.
Oh,
so it's still
I love the
happening.
games.
He's still good, but they really did try to overhype it. I think great games, frustrating as all heck sometimes, but it doesn't, I don't know, he didn't have that hook, that universal hook that Sonic really has.
I think Crash's problem was when Naughty Dog left the series. After 3, it just never really had the same magic, I mean...
Yeah, it tried to do the same thing as Ratchet and Clank almost, It tried to, let's bring in time travel. Let's bring in, technology. Let's
bring
completely
in
change
everything.
Let's change the series. It wasn't the same thing anymore, and they were trying to keep up with the times, but it was just kind of destined to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say, speaking of, I know we were talking about a little sidebar about Japanese RPGs we'll never play. And actually, I mentioned Working Designs, which is one of my favorite companies ever.
Yes.
Victor Ireland, who's the president of Working Designs, actually has a new company now. And they're actually going out of their way to release small-scale Japanese RPGs that normally no other company out there would even begin to touch. Small scale. They're doing actually pre-orders ahead of time. The budget, they're trying to get like 3,000 to 5,000 sales of each game.
I believe you've talked to me about this in the past.
I might have mentioned it. Last year or so ago, they actually released Class of Heroes 2, which was the sequel It was the sequel to a Atlas title that did get a U.S. release. It completely bombed. It wasn't very good, actually. At least most people I've talked to didn't enjoy it.
But it did have a fan base. There were people
Small,
that were...
though. It was very small.
There were people that really wanted a second one.
But really, even Victor Ireland talked about how he had a really difficult time selling the second one because he doesn't think the first one's very good, but everyone pretty much agreed the second one was much better. And he did manage to release it. They actually then managed to release a PS3 version last year. They're actually now doing a pre-order campaign, which is about to start sales next week, I believe, for Summon Night 5, which is the first numerical Summon Night. We've gotten a few of the the spin-offs in America, but it'll be the first in the main series to come to the U.S.
Okay.
It's a physical PSP game in 2015, which is pretty insane.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I mean,
it's this long after the PSP has just kind of fallen
right.
Yeah,
out
I mean,
of.
there hasn't been much released in about 3 years now, but he's still trying to get them out. And he said he's even got one more coming. The next one is Class of Heroes 3, which he's going to try to release physical for the PSP either late this year or next year.
I really wish he would do stuff with Steam. Oh,
Yeah, there's been some talk of that, but
I know.
But he's big on physical releases. That's what he's all about.
Yeah.
You look back to all those
well,
working
all
designs.
his special edition
Exactly.
stuff, the Lunar Silver Star
Yeah.
story, beautiful box sets.
Absolutely.
He had great stuff going on with working
And they're doing the
design.
same. They're doing the same with Summon Night 5 actually. Physical soundtrack CD, posters, and I believe there's a couple of postcards included in the set. He actually wanted to do a music box apparently to go
Did
with
you
it.
guys just feel
That
that
would've been
tidal wave of
amazing.
nostalgia that just
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
bounced on me?
I have like
designs is my
Lunar.
childhood.
Yeah.
I have Lunar 2 and
Well,
Arc
not my
the Lad.
childhood, but
I
Well,
have those box
maybe
sets.
Teenage years.
Like
but
I have
for
Lunar
me-
2 with the pendant that came with it.
Oh,
yes,
and
yes.
the hardcover
that
art
black
book,
book was beautiful.
I love it.
and just
I have a buddy that writes
and they
the
don't
best
do things like
fanfic.
that anymore. They don't, but they are starting to. And I kind of mentioned it earlier with Fallout 4. There are companies that are trying to cater to the fans that want a little bit
Yeah.
more. Granted, you're going to have to spend a bit more.
Yeah.
Like Fallout 4 is going to be shelf price is going to be $120.
Wow.
And
But you know what?
but I felt that it was worth every penny because
Yeah.
if you've played the Fallout games, one of the most iconic things in the series is the Pip-Boy. Your wrist-mounted computer,
Yeah.
which it would monitor all your physical stats and all that. And they are releasing that with Fallout 4 for that
Is it going to be
$120.
smaller than a stinking Apple Watch? Because those things
It
are
is actually
massive.
going to be wearable on your arm
Nice.
and hold your smartphone. It will actually be able to turn your smartphone into your own personal Pip-Boy.
Wow.
Through that, you'll be able to change different things in your actual game. So you'll be able
Yeah.
to customize your power armor. I believe you'll be able to work on your structure. You can create your own house in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
In fact, you can expand it to basically make your own whole settlement. And I believe that you are actually going to be able to monitor things with that through the Pip-Boy.
Definitely cool, but for me, I almost feel like I'll probably wait till there's a physical version without. I just can't bring myself to spend $120 on a game. That's
Well,
just
that's
who I
fine
am.
because they're already sold out. In fact,
right.
Bethesda says that they cannot produce any more copies.
Yeah.
So they are already gone. I am thanking my lucky stars that I got mine in right away because they sold out immediately.
See, that's great when developers know their fan base, when they know their niche and they know that they've got it right there. They're
Yes,
listening.
definitely.
They're listening to us. They know what we want.
They're starting to.
Well, yeah,
but
the
you know,
smaller
there's
ones
also
are. The big
still.
guys,
Well,
yeah.
Bethesda is one of the big guys.
Yeah.
But you look at other companies that are kind of similar that we always thought back in the day that they listened to the fans. Now we've got Capcom that just completely and utterly abandoned us. And I believe Brandon wanted to talk about this, and I wish that we could get him inside
Yeah.
because he knows a little bit more about it than I do. There was Kaiji Inafune had
Yeah.
left Capcom, and because of the fact that there were so many fans that were just demanding a return to the roots, we want a new Mega Man.
Yeah.
We want a new Mega Man Legends. And he is actually working on a new Mega Man, but of course he can't call it Mega Man. It's Mighty Number 9.
Right. Well, it's the same thing that happened to the original. Speaking of, a big fan base and a loyal, dedicated fan base, the people who made Harvest Moon.
Absolutely.
Natsumi
Love
owns
the
the
series.
Harvest Moon's name, but they're out there now creating a new game that harkens way back to the original, but it's under a different name. I guess you just have to know what you're looking for when the name keeps going somewhere else, but the people who made it are doing it with, a whole different thing. Kickstarter, all the stuff going on with Kickstarter and all that.
Well, and that's kind of what he had wanted to talk about. The fact that this game, it's called Mighty Number 9. It got completely funded through Kickstarter, but then they ended up finding another company to also fund them. So it's like the Kickstarter didn't matter. And then that was going to be a spiritual successor to Mega Man.
Right.
Now there's a Kickstarter. It only has a couple days left for Red Ash, and that's going to be a kind of a spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends, which, if you know the game, you love the game.
Yeah.
It was a great series. We only got 2 games in the series, 3 if you count the Misadventures of Tron Bonne.
Great game.
Which is an excellent, excellent game. Love it. Impossible to find now.
I got mine back in the day.
I kick myself almost every day that I think about the fact that I got rid of it.
Is that your biggest thing that you regret getting rid of, game-wise?
Well, probably. I would have to say that that's probably it right there.
You can come to my house and play my copy.
I have to drive 4 hours to get to your house.
It's worth it.
Is it worth it?
I don't know. I also have to see you to do that.
That's true.
Aw, dude.
We like to kid. It's been a long time since I've seen Andy and actually been able to converse with him on a topic like this, and I enjoy the fact that we're able to do this together again. It's been quite a while.
Too long.
Yes, too long. But anyway, back on topic. Love you, bro.
Right back at you.
Red Ash. It's got a couple days left on its Kickstarter, and it was they were asking $800,000, and they got up to, I believe, 50 or something like that, and then they ended up announcing that, we found a company to fund us. So they did it again. And much like with Mighty Number 9, Mighty Number 9 was already supposed to be out, if you've been following it. And they've pushed it back to September, and now they just announced that it's not coming out until next year.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say it, but I used to love Capcom, but they started doing things like that to their fans, and I really love Kaiji Inafune, and to find out that he's doing the same thing just kind of breaks my heart.
I'll say a lot of the hardcore Mega Man fans also, from the early preview builds, are not exactly thrilled with how the game looks so far. They think it doesn't look as smooth as a Mega Man game does.
Right.
There's been a lot of backlash, actually, which I think is part of why Red Ash kind of has had some struggles getting funding. It hasn't reached its goal yet, whereas Mighty Number 9 blew through the goal in like a day or two.
Now, looking at it, because they had something to show and they had something to promise. With Red Ash, they don't have anything to show us. They have a little concept art. They have nothing. They don't have a gameplay video. They have nothing to show us except an idea. And what I was getting at is the fact that now that it's being funded by an outside source, the people who have backed it on Kickstarter have said, okay, so what are we getting now? Are we still getting the game? Are we getting a demo? What's going on? And they have refused to answer any questions.
Yeah, they're not going to get any more funding that way.
Well, not only that, $100,000 worth of backing has pulled out. People have canceled their Kickstarter backings.
Wow.
So now it's only got about $400,000. It's probably not going to get backed now.
Yeah, they also said that now that they have outside funding, the Kickstarter donations will go towards stretch goals, which they will not clarify what the stretch goals are.
They did state that the additional funds would go towards the additional episodes, because the game is being released episodic.
Yeah.
Like chapters, essentially.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. We talked about
there
that.
There was going to be kind of a prequel one that they were releasing. I cannot recall the name of it. Brandon could, but again, kind of dead.
Oh, yeah.
I guess the stretch goal is going to be that it's going to go towards the additional episodes.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of wondering, what does that mean? What will the people who have backed it get now?
It's going to be like DLC is what I was thinking it's going to be. And the chapters that they're, episode chapters, whatever, they could be super short. You never know. You never know.
Okay. Well, I'm really trying to figure out what's wrong with Brandon. I'm hoping that he's okay.
This has been a long podcasting day. Yeah. It's been a long podcasting day.
Well, it's been a long day for us. We had to drive from quite a few hours away. We had some car troubles on the road.
I heard about that.
Our other co-host, Ian, his car just about literally exploded. It caught fire.
You see, this is why
Douglas
didn't
get out of the
always
state.
told you guys to have a towel. You could have put that fire out with a towel. You didn't need the iced tea.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. Brandon, thankfully, had his tea in his hand and put it out. Meanwhile, they're trying to figure out what's wrong. They're trying to put out a fire. And I'm backing the heck out of the way because I've got a kid on the way. I don't need to be blown to itty-bitty pieces.
You know, I got to say, I never said intelligence runs in my family.
Clearly.
Oh, man. See, this is why you can't make too many video games that are so close to reality. Man, reality can be a pain.
Yeah, the video games for me that if they were actually following reality, it would be pretty boring. Okay, carry this ladder, paint this wall.
For example, during the Steam Summer Sale, I went ahead and got some of the Civ 5 expansions. I didn't have Gods and Kings yet or Brave New World.
I keep forgetting how much you love the simulation games, the
I'm really
civilization
bad.
and stuff like that. I'm a fan as well, and Ian is too.
Yeah.
He's actually a huge fan. I know that you've gotten to talk to him a little bit about that. He's a huge fan of like the Roller Coaster Tycoon and.
Those were fun. I haven't done those in a while,
But
though.
anyway, you were talking about the expansions.
Yeah, so I get this and I install it, and I'm all excited. And then they have this crap about your trade routes. And then you have to propose things to the Congress, the Global World Congress or whatever. And then if you propose the wrong thing, people get mad at you and go to war. And then they try to embargo whatever, like if you have cocoa beans, they're going to embargo your cocoa beans. And then you have to do all this stuff with religion. And then there's other people sending in their missionaries and converting your cities. You know what? It was just too real. It was too real. I ended up, every time I go and play now, I go in and I go to scenarios or whatever DLC and I unclick Gods and Kings and all that other stuff. I want to do the fun stuff. I don't want to worry about whether or not my city way down here is following the Shinto religion.
Yeah, I've actually gotten so many times where I thought that I downloaded something that would just really expand the game and make it a whole lot more fun, and it's just kind of felt like it ruined it.
Well, the scenarios are really nice. I like those.
Like
Yeah.
I've played so many different things for Skyrim and Fallout.
Yeah.
And I downloaded this one that a friend of mine had suggested for Fallout. It's actually a combination mod between Fallout 3 and New Vegas. It actually combines them into one game. It's called Tale of Two Wastelands.
Sounds good.
It sounds great in theory, and honestly, it is kind of cool. Basically, it turns them into one game. You create one character, and you start either in, the New Vegas content or in the Fallout 3.
Yeah.
So in Fallout 3, you start out as a baby, and you play through the game as normal, and if you know where it is, there's this subway that you can take to get to the Mojave, and then start playing through that. So the Wanderer and the Courier are the same person with that. Great in theory, but they should have made it a lot easier to get between the two because there's no fast travel to get between the two. So if you find that subway, you're still going to have to fight through a whole bunch to get back to the subway and get through to the wasteland. And it's a huge pain.
Yeah.
The good thing that it adds is the reloading benches from New Vegas. It adds those to Fallout 3. It adds the newer weapons from New Vegas to Fallout 3. The weapon scaling from the two games, how some things got more powerful, it kind of added that. And that is a great thing. And it was great in theory, but just in execution, I really wish that I would have been able to just fast travel right to it. I don't want to run through that every time I want to jump between the two.
What about you? What's the last dud that you got?
Nothing's really jumping out at me at the moment. I was going to say, though, the only simulation game I ever got that into was Sim Golf.
Sim Golf?
Yeah, it was Sid Meier. Sid Meier, actually. You design your own golf course, and then you manage it, and you try to, build a course that people will want to come play, and you run the concession stands and the clubhouse. Very similar to, a lot of Sid Meier's other games. Actually, a lot similar to like a roller coaster tycoon type game, only for a golf course. I had a period of about 2 months at one point where I was absolutely obsessed with designing the greatest golf course in history. And, it's actually it comes in a lot of like the sim compilations. Like I bought a compilation that had like 5 of the sim games, and this was one of the throw-in ones. Yeah. Ended up being my favorite one in the package.
Okay. Well, we've only got like a minute left, and just a closing remark. What is the biggest thing that you're looking forward to this year, Teresa?
Animal Crossing, Happy Home Academy.
All right.
400 cards it's going to have.
Oh, my gosh.
So broke.
If I had to say, I've heard mixed things out of Japan, but probably Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Okay. Well, I already mentioned Fallout 4, so I'm actually going to go with something completely different. Lego Dimensions. Ooh. I actually just went to Five Below earlier today and found a copy of Skylanders Giants with the portal and everything for $5.
Really?
Nice.
Unbelievable. So a few characters, the portal, the game, $5, and I ended up spending another $5 to get a new character. And so I'm actually looking forward to Lego Dimensions, especially the Doctor Who content.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, and I believe that's all the time that we have for.
Yeah.
This was the We Know Games podcast, minus Brandon for the first time ever. And me and Teresa are going to go outside and see if we can throw together an alchemy circle and bring him back. Thank you.
I'll just watch.
Thank you.